Down, steadily down it crept. I took a frenzied pleasure in contrasting its downward with its lateral velocity. To the right, to the left, far and wide, with the shriek of a daring spirit. To my heart, with the stealthy pace of a tiger. I alternately laughed and howled as the one or the other idea grew predominantly.
Down, certainly, relentlessly down. It vibrated within 3 inches of my bosom. I struggled violently, furiously, to free my left arm. This was free only from elbow to the hand. I could reach the latter from the platter beside me, to my mouth, and with great effort, but no farther. Could I have broken the fastenings above my elbow? I would have seized and attempted to arrest the pendulum. I might as well have attempted to arrest an avalanche. Down, still unceasingly, still inevitably down, I gasped and struggled at each vibration. I shrunk convulsively at its every sweep. My eyes followed it outward and upward, whirls with the eagerness of most unmeaning despair. Then they closed themselves spasmodically at the descent. Although death would have been a relief, oh, how unspeakable, still I quivered in every nerve. To think how slight a sinking of the machine would precipitate that keen. Glistening axe upon my bosom, it was hope that prompted the nerve to quiver, the frame to shrink. It was hope, the hope that triumphs on the wrath that whispers to death condemned even in the dungeons of the Inquisition.
I saw that some 10 or 12 vibrations would bring the steel in actual contact with my robe, and with this observation there suddenly came over my spirit all the keen, collected calmness of despair. For the first time during many hours, or perhaps days, I thought, it now encountered to me that the bandage or circingle which enveloped me was unique. I was tied by no separate cord. The first stroke of the razor-like crescent athwart any portion of the band would so detach it that it might be unwound from the person by means of my left hand. But how fearful, in that case, the proximity of the seal. The result of the slightest struggle, how deadly! It was likely, moreover, that the minions of the torture had not foreseen and provided this possibility. Was it probable that the bandage crossed my bosom in the track of the pendulum? Dreading to find my fate, and, as it seemed, in last hope frustrated, I so far elevated my head as to obtain a distinct view of my breast. The circingle enveloped my limbs and body close in all directions, save in the path of the destroying crescent.
Scarcely had I dropped my head back into its original position, when there flashed upon my mind what I cannot better describe than as the unformed half of that idea of deliverance to which I have previously alluded, and of which a moiety only floated intermittently through my brain when I raised food to my burning lips. The whole thought was now present, feeble, scarcely sane, scarcely definite, but still entire. I proceeded at once, with the nervous energy of despair, to attempt its execution. For many hours, the immediate vicinity of the low framework upon which I lay had been literally swarming with rats. They were wild, bold ravenous, their red eyes glaring upon me as if they had waited but for motionless on my part to make me their prey. To what food, I thought, have they been accustomed in this well? They had devoured, in spite all my efforts to prevent them, all but a small remnant of the contents of the dish. I had fallen into a habitual seesaw, or wave of the hand about the platter, and at length the unconscious informity of the movement deprived it of effect. In their voracity, the vermin frequently fastened their sharp fangs in my fingers. particles of oily and spicy viand which now remained. I thoroughly rubbed my bandage wherever I could reach it. Then, raising my hand from the floor, I lay breathlessly still.
At first, the ravenous animals were startled and terrified at the change, at the sensation of movement. They shrank alarmedly back. Many sought the well, but this was only for a moment. I had not counted in vain upon their ferocity. Observing that I remained without motion, one or two of the boldest leaped upon the framework and smote the surgical. They seemed the signal for the general rush. Forth from the well they hurried in fresh troops. They clung to the wood. They overran it and leaped in hundreds upon my person. The measured movement of the pendulum disturbed them not at all. Avoiding its strokes, they busied themselves with the ointed bandage. They pressed. They swarmed upon me in ever-accumulating heaps. They writhed upon my throat. Their cold lips sought my own. I was half stifled by their thronging pressure. Disgust, for which the world has no name, swelled my bosom and chilled with a heavy calmness my heart. Yet 1 minute, and I felt that the struggle would be over. Plainly, I perceived the loosening of the bandage. I knew that in more than one place it must be already severed. With a more than human resolution, I lay still.